Hey there, it's Joshua Johnson from 1A here in one of our studios at WAMU in Washington, trying to figure out what 1A should sound like. And part of the sound of the show is the theme music, and that is not my job. That is his job. Will Eastman is our composer. Hi, Will.
Hi, how's it going?
Going well. I like what we've heard so far. We're still revising it as of the time that we are taping this. What makes for a good theme?
Well, it has to grab your heart. It has to grab your heart, and you're going to get to somebody's head by going into their heart first.
So you make an emotional connection through the
Yes.
music,
Yep.
and then that helps us make the intellectual connection.
Absolutely.
What are some of the other kinds of projects you've worked on? What other kinds of themes have you produced? Is it all public radio?
No, this is the first theme I've done. I'm actually a dance music producer and DJ, and I make remixes, and I have an album coming out in March.
So talk about the process of making a theme. Someone comes to you and says, we need a piece of music. What's the first thing you ask them? Other than do they pay cash? What's the second thing that you ask them?
Well, this is actually the first theme song that I have done ever.
Cool.
And I was approached by WAMU, and the first question that I had for them is, what the heck is it? What is the show going to be? What are you going to talk about? And so I sent them some demos that I've been working on for my own music, including my upcoming album. And the producer of the show really liked one, and we sort of honed in on that. And really, I told them, hey, look, this track's accounted for. This is going to be on my album. And they were like, well, why don't you rework it for our theme? So I basically ended up remixing a track from my album for this theme song.
Cool.
And I think that they had really hit the nail on the head with this track, because the vibe of this track is about hopeful optimism for the future, but yet not being ready yet to get rid of the past.
Right.
Holding on to the past.
Kind of being in that space where you're navigating it all.
Yeah.
Which is a lot about what we do on the show. Let's let you hear a piece of the theme, and then we'll go further into it on the other side. Listen. Now, that's the version of the theme that you will hear on 1A, but that's not the way the theme began. Talk about some of the conversations that went between the first draft and the final draft.
Sure. Well, the original track is sort of the soundtrack to both the end of an era and the beginning of an era. So really, the producers and I had an ongoing conversation about what is going to work for your purposes, what melodies are going to sort of convey the ethos of the show. And really, we developed a vibe that would engage listeners and give them the notion of like, look, we're talking about some very big issues on the show. We're talking about the future of our country. We're talking about the future of life in America. But yet, you don't want to overwhelm people, so there needs to be some lightheartedness to it. So there's a balance in there.
Now, unlike the theme to the Diane Reeves show, 1A has several different versions of this theme. The Diane Reeves show relies on one piece of music that you hear throughout, but we asked you to create several different uses of this melody, right?
Yes, yeah. So there are... there's an intro, there's an outro, there's a top of the hour piece, there are transitions. We've used the motif of the melody, and I do have to mention my engineer Nick Garcia helped compose this with me. Awesome engineer, awesome sound designer. And so we use the the motifs to convey different elements. And there's a piano, there are strings, there's a guitar. So there are elements that you could look at that are more traditional sort of rock-based music. There are elements that you could look at that you might call, EDM, electronic dance music.
And you kind of play each one up or down depending on the mood
Yes.
you're going for.
Yeah, yeah. So really, your subject matter is going to be diverse. So you're going to be talking about some very happy stories. You're going to be talking about some somber stories. So we tried to make some transitional pieces that could help set that up for you when you're.
How does it feel having composed a theme for a show on NPR?
It feels amazing. I feel very privileged to have this opportunity. I've been a longtime listener and fan of WAMU. When they reached out to me and said that they were talking with a couple different composers, I sent them some stuff, and I was like, okay, that's the last time I hear from them. And then they
That'll show you.
and then they hit me back and said, we'd like to work with you. And I was like, are you really? Awesome. Okay, let's do this. So it's, the Diane Rehm show, I've listened to it hundreds, if not thousands of times. And to have an opportunity to musically fill those big shoes of that iconic horn, I don't know. You be the judge if we're up to the task or not.
Well, we'll find out. We'll find out soon enough. Will Eastman, longtime listener, first-time composer. Appreciate it, Will. Thanks very
man.
much.